right, you can start. You
Antonella, you
could
ready?
you could begin. Yeah.
Hi, yes, you could turn to the introduction slide, please, for me to begin. Thank you. Right. So, good day, everyone. Um, in this presentation today, we will explore how leadership today requires not just skill and strategy, but moral leadership is doing what's right, establishing ethical climates, and evolving into a leader who serves. The sections of the chapter that I would be presenting today covers why moral leadership matters, how leaders behave morally, and how someone becomes a moral leader. So we'll start with the first slide. What is moral leadership today? So, moral leadership is distinguishing between right from wrong, doing what is right, seeking the just, honest, and good in leadership. Leadership context today is more complex. Example, globalization, speed of change, transparency, and stakeholder demands. Ethical climate also matters, which is what employees believe is acceptable behavior. Next point. Moral leadership isn't just about obeying laws, it's about conscience, integrity, the greater good. The environment in which organizations operate is a dynamic and uncertain, so leaders must set a strong moral tone. The notion of an ethical climate helps us understand shared perceptions of how we do things around here. Next slide, please. All right. The ethical climate in business. Ethical climate is shared perception of what is ethically correct behavior and how ethical issues are handled. Some influencing factors are reward and incentive systems, what gets measured and what gets rewarded. Leaders' behavior, their visible decisions. Formal codes of ethics and policies. Norms among peers and informal culture. So, when people believe that unethical behaviors is tolerated or rewarded, the climate degenerates. Conversely, when ethical behavior is clearly valued and modeled, the organization cultivates trust, loyalty, and sustainable success. We will now go on to the next slide. Leaders set the ethical tone. So, leaders act as role models. Their behavior conveys what matters. Some key behaviors of moral leaders are number one, they emphasize interests of employees, customers, and society, not just profits. They are honest and they have honest, straightforward communication, fairness and respect for individuals, and zero tolerance for unethical behavior. Next slide, please. When leaders ignore or reward unethical acts, the ethical climate suffers. When a CEO personally visits employees, listens, and admits mistakes, the message is we value people. Alternatively, when a leader rewards someone despite unethical actions, example, meeting a target but via shady means, the message is results count more than how you get them. The latter undermines moral leadership. Next slide, please. Acting like a moral leader. So, develop and articulate high moral principles and uphold them. Focus on the right thing for the organization and for the people involved. Set the example. Do as I do. Be honest with yourself and others. Treat everyone with dignity and respect. Establish ethics, policies, reward ethical conduct, punish or discourage unethical conduct. Do the right thing when no one is watching. It's not enough to talk about ethics. Leaders must live it. So, moral leadership often involves courage, right? Which we will look at later on because doing the right thing may include making unpopular choices. So, for the next slide, we have a little Q&A section, right? So, the question for today is which specific behaviors would you expect from a moral leader in your workplace or future role? So just take a time to go over the question, and please, if anybody, at least one person, could volunteer to answer the question, that would be really nice. So I'll just give you like 1 minute, please. Going once, going twice. Nobody. Oh, they're shy. All right, no problem. Good day. Hi.
I
Oh,
to me, I believe that today I believe that um a good quality would be compassion. I feel like most leaders should have be compassionate,
mm-hmm,
especially towards
mm-hmm,
the members.
mm-hmm. Correct. I'm also seeing some comments in the chat. So someone said good listener and integrity. So everyone is absolutely correct. From my perspective, I'd expect a moral leader to be honest and transparent, treat everyone with fairness and respect, listen to concerns, and create a culture where people feel safe to speak up if something seems wrong. So yes, you all are completely correct. So let's move on to the next slide, which is becoming a moral leader. So leadership development includes moving from simply managing to serving. There's a three style continuum, right? So the first one is authoritarian management. Then we have participative management, which is more engagement or shared power. And lastly, we have stewardship/servant leadership. Leader sees self as caretaker of an organization and the followers. Next slide, please. A moral leader shifts towards stewardship and servant leadership. Becoming a moral leader isn't immediate, it's a journey. Many new managers default to authoritarian styles, example, control or directive, especially under stress. The goal is to grow into a leadership style that empowers, trusts, and serves. This reflects the ethical dimension of leadership more fully. So I will now pass you on to our second group member who would be covering the topic on servant leadership.
All right. Good morning, class. Good morning, Sue. My name is Lennon Lochman. I'll be doing servant leadership, but first, let me just say if you hear a lot of background noise, unfortunately, I'm in a moving vehicle. Um, with that being said, servant leadership is a philosophy of service before self. It's the belief that the true purpose of leadership is to uplift others, not to command them. As DAFT explains, the servant leader's goal placed is to place the growth and well-being of others above personal interests. This model emphasizes humility, compassion, and empowerment rather than control. In healthcare, which is the field that I study and I work in, particularly radiography, this means ensuring that our team members, patients, and even students feel seen and valued. It's about asking, how can I help you succeed instead of how can you meet my goal? I've seen this firsthand in radiography when a senior technologist mentors a new student patiently. It raises the standard of care for everyone. Servant leadership creates a ripple effect of empathy and trust. Next slide, please. From control to empowerment. Sorry, the next slide. Right. Traditional organizations often revolved around control and obedience. Leaders commanded, others followed. But servant leadership reverses that logic. It replaces hierarchy with collaboration and power with empowerment. Instead of forcing compliance, servant leaders inspire commitment. They listen, encourage, and guide others to reach their full potential. In a radiology department, empowerment might mean encouraging a colleague to try a new imaging technique or trusting them to take initiative on patient comfort. When people feel empowered, they stop acting out of fear and start acting from pride and purpose. Servant leaders create leaders, not followers. Next slide. The heart of service. At the heart of a servant leadership lies the spirit of service. Gandhi said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. This is more than a quote, it's a philosophy. A servant leader measures success not by personal achievement, but by how others grow and flourish. The true mark of leadership is seeing your team thrive even when you're not in the room. In healthcare, this could mean supporting a colleague after a tough shift or ensuring a patient's emotional comfort, not just their diagnostic accuracy. Service is the heartbeat of ethical leadership. It transforms both the giver and the receiver. Next slide, please. Core definition. Servant leadership transcends self-interest. According to DAFT, it's about helping others become healthier, wiser, freer, and more autonomous. There are four guiding principles that anchor this approach. Put service before self-interest. Choose people over ego. Listen first to affirm others. Understand it before reacting. Inspire trust by being trustworthy. Let your integrity be visible. Nourish others to help them become whole. Support their growth in every sense. When I think about this in radiography, I'm reminded that our job isn't just to take good images, it's to make people feel safe and respected while doing it. That's leadership. Quiet, compassionate, and real. Next, the next slide, sorry. Service before self interest. The servant leader's motivation is to uplift, not to dominate. Authority comes as a byproduct of service, not the goal itself. The moral foundation builds empathy and shared purpose. When a leader's actions are guided by compassion, teams feel inspired to act ethically and collaboratively. In clinical practice, this might mean standing up for a patient's safety even when it slows the workflow, or helping a coworker without expecting credit. These are moments when leadership is invisible but powerful. Putting others first doesn't make you smaller, it makes everyone strong. Next slide. Listening to affirm others. Active listening is the cornerstone of servant leadership. It allows leaders to truly understand the team's need before responding. DAFT 2008 explains that listening builds both trust and belonging. In radiology, we practice this when we listen to a patient's fear before a scan or when we hear a colleague's suggestion with genuine interest. It reminds people that they are valued. Next slide. As Lao Tzu said, to lead the people, walk behind them. Listening humbly is not weakness, it's strength. It says your perspective matters. The affirmation creates loyalty, connection, and psychological safety. Next slide, please. Trust and nourishment. Trust and nourishment are the ethical backbone of servant leadership. Servant leaders cultivate trust through integrity, transparency, and fairness. When leaders do what they say and say what they mean, trust becomes the foundation for every relationship. But nourishment goes beyond trust. It's about investing in others' growth emotionally, intellectually, and even spiritually. Servant leaders help people feel whole. In healthcare, this could mean recognizing burnout, offering mentorship, or creating moments of genuine care in high pressure environment. When people feel trusted and nourished, they thrive, and so does the organization. Next slide, please. Growth and example in action. Human growth is the truest measure of success. Servant leaders celebrate progress, not position. Business leaders like Robert Townsend of American Express and just 1 minute, please. Sorry. I'm sorry. All right. Robert Townsend of American Express and David Duffield of PeopleSoft modeled servant leadership by putting employees' well being first, proving that compassion and success can coexist. In radiography, that same principle applies when senior staff advocate for continuing education or when managers create supportive learning spaces for students' growth, transforming individuals and institutions alike. Service and compassion don't weaken a leader, they redefine strength. Next slide. Compassion and reflection. Compassion requires courage, the courage to put others' needs before ego, to act with empathy in a world that rewards competition. Servant leadership unites humility and bravery. It's not about commanding, it's about caring enough to do what's right, even when it's hard. As Mother Teresa said, I can do things you cannot, you can do things I cannot. Together we can do great things. That's the essence of leadership courage. Unity through service. In our field, that courage shows up when we speak about safety, advocate for fairness, and simply stay kind under stress. When service becomes the foundation of leadership, moral strength follows naturally. Servant leadership evolves into leadership courage, where doing good and leading well becomes one and the same. Next slide. In conclusion, servant leadership challenges us to redefine power, not as control, but as the ability to uplift others. In my field of radiography and beyond, ethical and servant leadership create a workspace where integrity, empathy, and courage thrive. When we serve, we don't just lead others, we transform ourselves. Thank you.
Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Janelle Sinarang, and I will be presenting on the topic for this chapter on courage. Now, before we dive into courage, let me just read a quote from a very important man. And it's stated as, I've learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Nelson Mandela said this quote because he understood that real courage isn't about ever being afraid, but about acting despite one's fear, which he learned from the experience of his comrades in the struggle against apartheid. The quote reflects his own life, where he continued to fight for equality despite the immense fear of imprisonment, retaliation, and his uncertain future. He learned that fear is a natural human emotion, and true bravery is found in the will to act for a just cause even when afraid. Now, leadership courage. It's the inner strength to act ethically and make difficult decisions despite fear, pressure, or risk. So, in other words, the inner strength and moral fortitude that enables leaders to do the right thing, even in the face of fear, temptation, ridicule, or organizational pressure. It involves standing up for ethical principles, resisting conformity, and acting with integrity rather than merely seeking approval, promotions, or personal gain. Leadership courage allows leaders to make difficult decisions, to take risks that benefit the organization and others rather than just themselves. Now, what is courage? Let's start with a definition. Courage is a multifaceted personal trait defined by the ability to take action in the face of fear or danger, encompassing both physical bravery and moral strength. Now, this concept involves not only overcoming fear, but also persevering through emotional or physical pain, often driven by a deep sense of responsibility or care for others. Leaders may face many fears. It could be in the form of death, failure, rejection, change, or even loss of control. But true leadership means confronting these fears to take responsibility, drive change, take risks, speak up, and create positive impacts. Now, leaders do not let life happen to them. They make things happen, creating opportunities to make a positive difference in their organizations and their communities. So, for example, here we have Barbara Jones, who was a 16-year-old African American student who in 1951 led a student strike at the segregated Morton High School in Farmville, Virginia. She and her classmates protested the poor and unequal conditions of their school compared to that of white schools. Their actions drew the attention of the NAACP, which filed or helped them file a lawsuit. This case later became one of the 5 cases combined into the landmark Supreme Court decision, which declared racial segregation in public schools unconstitutional. Barbara, however, what she did was that she showed exceptional courage, vision, and leadership. She took an idea that education was supposed to be fair regardless of the color of your skin and turned that into a movement that helped change American history. So she said it was time that Negroes were treated equally with whites, time that they had a decent school, time for the students themselves to do something about it. There wasn't any fear. I just thought, this is your moment, so seize it. True courage in leadership involves the strength to stand apart from the crowd and challenge the status quo where necessary. It requires nonconformity, as courageous leaders are willing to speak out and set boundaries, even when their views itself may be unpopular. This idea in itself connects to the Abilene paradox. What that is where people go along with decisions they privately disagree with just to avoid conflict. True leaders resist this pressure and voice what they believe is right. Courage also means openly taking responsibility for one's actions and decisions rather than just shifting blame. Ultimately, courage is fighting for what you believe in and pursuing outcomes that benefit the whole. Leaders take risks for higher ethical purposes, not for ego, harm, or personal gain. True leadership courage is acting in accordance with one's values, even when it challenges the norms or involves personal sacrifice. So here we just have a little advice on, how it is that you can become a good leader. And it says that as a leader, you can develop the backbone to accept personal responsibility for achieving desired outcomes, going against the status quo, and standing up for what you believe. You can learn to push beyond your comfort zone and break through the fear that limits you. Now, how does courage apply to moral leadership? Many people in organizations show courage to be unconventional, to do what they believe is right, and to treat employees and customers as whole human beings deserving of respect. Balancing profit with people, self-interest with service, and control with stewardship requires true moral courage. Now, moral leaders require some form of personal courage. To practice moral leadership, leaders must first know themselves, know their strengths, their weaknesses, and core values, and often be willing to challenge the status quo. Honest self-reflection can be difficult, and recognizing one's limitations to appreciate the abilities of others requires true strengths of character. Moral leadership also involves building meaningful relationships, which demand sharing oneself, listening, engaging deeply with others, and embracing vulnerability, qualities that many find intimidating. However, or in addition, we also have emotional strength, which comes from confronting fears and viewing emotions as a source of power rather than weakness. True leadership lies in the connection between people by being close to others and acting in their best interests, sharing both successes and struggles. Leaders inspire and bring out the best in those around them. Now, to display that level of courage, sometimes you must oppose unethical conduct. And one of those ways is through whistleblowing. Hello?
Hi, yes,
Hi. Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Hello?
Yes, hi. See if you can pick back
Hello?
up where you left off. Hello? Janelle?
Hello?
Hi, Janelle? Janelle, hi.
Hello? Anybody hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you. Tell her to log out and log back in. Hopefully that might
You all
reestablish it.
hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Hello?
Janelle, we're hearing you.
Whoosh! I am so sorry, guys. So you hearing me clearly? Clearly?
Yes, we are. Are you hearing me?
So you hearing me clearly?
Yes, I am. Are you hearing me?
We can hear you.
So are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
sir, I don't think she's hearing you. Maybe you should remove her and let her come back in.
So are you hearing me? Because I'm hearing you.
Yes, I'm hearing you. We're all hearing you, actually. Can one of you all reach out to her and tell her to log back in?
On WhatsApp, but like she's not getting it.
What was that, Miss Joseph?
I was messaging her on her number on WhatsApp, but she's not responding. I don't know if she's not seeing it.
Okay. Alright, she's saying her PC froze. Can anybody else from the group pick up where she left off?
Sure, sir, no problem. And I don't have her additional note. She would have had probably in her book, but I
Has she
will.
said anything to you?
No, she's not responding at all. Okay,
Okay, said
she
the
just
internet dropped
messaged
in.
into the
Mm-hmm.
group. So she should be coming back, Thank God.
Okay. She's at work. Alright. Welcome back.
Hello, you're hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you now.
Okay, I am sorry. I apologize. Listen, I dropped in the entire building just now.
Okay. Can you remember where you were so you could pick back up from there?
Yes, I
Alright.
can.
You'd have to start sharing again.
I think I just did. Did I just not share?
No, sharing your screen. No, you're not sharing just yet.
You'll
Can
see
you come?
now.
Yeah, we've seen that now.
All right. So, as I was mentioning before, the internet was very rude. Um, Courage. There's a lot of things that require courage, yes, and one of these things is by opposing unethical conduct. Now, one of the examples here is whistleblowing. This involves exposing illegal, immoral, or unethical practices within an organization. Many whistleblowers understand that speaking out may come at a personal cost, both financially and emotionally. Despite these risks, they choose to act courageously, often navigating a mix of conflicting emotions. While they may feel a strong ethical duty to report wrongdoing, they can also experience feelings of disloyalty towards their bosses or colleagues, leading to internal conflict over where their responsibilities lie. However, in response to recent corporate scandals, many forward thinking companies now view whistleblowing as an asset rather than a threat. In fact, one survey found that 88% of respondents agreed that whistleblowing was beneficial for business, and as such, companies started using new whistleblowing software that allowed employees to anonymously report wrongdoing to top executives or persons outside in terms of board members. Now, finding personal courage is the potential to live and act courageously by pushing through one's own fears. Below, you would see 4 ways in which people can unlock the courage within themselves. 1, believing in a higher purpose. 2, drawing strength from others. 3, welcoming failure. And 4, harnessing anger. Let's dive into believe in a higher power, in a higher purpose. Courage comes easily when we fight for something we really believe in. Leaders who have a strong emotional commitment to a larger vision or purpose find the courage to step through fear. In business organizations, we also find that courage depends on belief of a higher vision. Now, here we have an example of Eleanor Josephus. She was a social justice activist and co-founder of Focus Hope, which was a food program to serve pregnant women, new mothers, and their children in Detroit. She soon realized that hunger was just a symptom of a larger problem. So what she did was expand the organization as a civil rights group to try to bridge the economic and racial gap that divided the city. She faced many threats and violence, but stayed determined to fight poverty and inequality in Detroit. Her higher purpose outweighed personal risk, and true courage in leadership comes from pursuing a vision that serves both purpose and people, not just for profit. Now we move on to drawing strength from others. Caring about others and having support from others is a potent source of courage in this topsy-turvy world that we live in. Love is an important measure that inspires sacrifice that is shown in a parent risking their life for the children, the child, family, etc. Likewise, leaders who truly care about their teams take risks to help them grow. Support from others also strengthens courage. Those who feel connected are more willing to take risks, while those who feel alone hold back. A supportive team or family reduces fear of failure and empowers people to act boldly. Now let's talk about welcoming failure. Today, many people want success to come without difficulties, problems, or struggles. However, accepting even welcoming failure enables courage. Failure teaches valuable lessons that fuel personal and organizational growth. Great leaders see failure not as defeat, but as a necessary step towards success. By accepting setbacks and facing fears, people gain the strength to move forward. With practice, individuals can overcome fears, including the fear, of taking risks. Each attempt beyond their comfort zone strengthens their courage and resolution becomes easier. Now we have to talk about harnessing frustration and anger. Now, if you have ever been really angry about something, you will know that it can cause you to forget about fear of embarrassment or fear that others won't like you. In organizations, we can also see the power of frustration and anger. People in organizations can channel their anger to handle difficult situations effectively. The important word there being effectively. For example, a supervisor who must dismiss an employee for just cause might delay the decision until a moment of frustration gives her the courage to act. Similarly, outrage over an injustice can empower a typically mild-mannered person to confront a superior. Even anger directed at oneself can inspire personal growth and change. So in moderation, anger is a healthy emotion that provides the energy to move forward. The key here is to learn how to harness it and use it constructively. Now we have a question whereby, has anyone been in a situation where their anger has helped them push forward in a positive way? Maybe at work, home, etc. Anyone? No? All right, I'll let you all think about it. We can always come back or circle back at some point. Now here we have another advice on how it is. I spoke up at work and got, is it a promotion, is what I saw there? Miss Forbes? Yes, that is exactly, you was, I guess you was angry because, they were bypassing you. So you taking initiative and putting yourself out there and expressing yourself about why it is that you deserve this. Your bosses took you seriously, and in the end, it was a positive result for you because you were able to get a promotion. So very, very good. Right. So as I said, here is another advice on how it is you can, just find your personal courage. As a leader, you can find that personal courage by committing to something you deeply believe in. You can welcome potential failure as a means of growth and development and build bonds of caring and mutual support with families, friends, and colleagues to reduce that fear. Lastly, we're going to talk about reflection and growth. Now, self insight exercises help leaders build awareness by encouraging them to understand their thoughts, emotions, strengths, and weaknesses. Through assessing personal values and moral development, leaders gain clarity on what principle guide their decisions and behavior. Reflection allows them to identify gaps between their values and actions, highlighting areas for improvement. By aligning their behavior with their core beliefs, leaders build consistency and integrity, which is essential qualities for moral and trustworthy leadership. Now, in conclusion, moral leadership and courage emphasize the importance of honesty, fairness, humility, and integrity. Leaders often face pressure to meet goals which can challenge their ethics. True ethical leadership prioritizes the greater good over self interest and guides others through moral example. Modern leadership is shifting towards stewardship and service, valuing responsibility over control. Courage in leadership means taking risks, standing up for what is right, and speaking out despite of fear. Qualities that is reflected in moral leadership and in ethical whistleblowing. So we have come to the end of our presentation, and I just want to thank everybody for taking the time, even though we had a little hiccup in the end there with my own, but I want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to our presentation.